Niger is one of the poorest countries on earth, yet it supplies uranium that powers France's nuclear plants. Oh, the irony. So the question, when you think about it, is how can a country that powers Europe still sit in darkness? You see, uranium mining in Niger has been dominated for decades by French-like companies, most notably Uranium. These companies control mining, processing, and export. So Niger exports raw uranium, France converts it into nuclear fuel, and then they use it to power their nuclear energy. The pricing of this uranium is set through long-term contracts. And these contracts, of course, historically they were signed by Niger when Niger had little power to negotiate. And so as a result of this, Niger earns revenue, but they have no leverage. They have no power. They just get money and then they look away. Uranium is very powerful, right? But you see, back then, Niger had no knowledge of this. And so there was limited local processing, there was weak negotiation, and there was heavy dependence on just one buyer. So remember I said Botswana had just 2 buyers, Niger's uranium had just 1 buyer. And so you wonder why Africa is so poor with all the resources that we have. They were not knowledgeable. Meanwhile, electricity access in Niger remains extremely low. I'm sure power outages here and there. Mining regions remain underdeveloped. Environmental and health costs, they stay local because you are the ones mining it. France is not mining it, so the health costs, they are not suffering the health costs. It is Niger that is suffering the health costs. This is what is called the resource trap. The resources exist, but the terms are unequal. The terms are unequal. And so in recent years, Niger then sat down and said, hold on a minute. We are not doing this thing right. And so the Niger government demanded higher royalties, better local benefits, and more transparency. It's important. This tension is part of a larger African shift. Countries are no longer asking, can we attract investors? African countries are now waking up. What they are now asking is, are these deals actually worth it? Are they worth it? We are the owners of these resources. They have woken up and now they can say that there is better. We can actually do better. You see, this change in mindset matters more than any single contract. First of all, it happens here. And trust me, Niger has probably woken up now, which is why there's tussle. There's a struggle going on right now. Niger's future and Africa's lies in 4 steps. Like I said before, diversification. Diversify buyers. You cannot keep selling to one person. It does not make any sense. If the one person says, I'm no longer buying, what happens to your operation? 2, you build regional negotiation centers for strategic minerals. So if you think about it, for the whole of Africa, not just one country, we have to sit down and say, how do we do these things? Okay, diamond in Botswana, probably down south, and then you look at oil, gold in the west, and then you look at Niger also. I mean, however it has to be a cooperative effort. 3, tie the resource extraction to energy access at home. You need the resources at home too. You are exporting, but power back home is really lacking. And then 4, which is very important, for some reason we just fail to invest in our own capacity as Africans. Invest in lawyers, in economists, in regulators. And don't use Western templates. Study the African context. Resources don't empower countries. Institutions do. Africans were failed time and time again to build institutions. We have to build institutions. Niger's uranium story is not unique. Obviously, we know the resources are there, which means the leverage is there. But is Africa ready to use it? Is Africa ready to use it? Can we sit right and think straight? Can we? Until next time.